I had a pretty good childhood up until my parents got divorced. My dad was really religious. I always went to church all the time, so he always brought God and Jesus in our life. I always knew he was there and prayed a lot. I had some circumstances when I was young. I was molested as a child through a step-family member. After that, that kind of broke things that happened to me in my life, and I went on a destructive path. I didn't know who I was lost. I kind of turned away from God for a while, but I kept going back and forth over the years. Shortly after that, I got involved in alcohol and drugs. I was probably about 14, 15 years old when all this happened.
We are all on a journey. We are all at different points on our journey, and that's okay. I'm Steph Reynolds, Director of Partner Care for Shine.fm. The purpose of our journey is simple, but sometimes difficult. Keep moving forward, becoming more like Jesus. Along our journey, we arrive at many crossroads where a choice must be made. Sometimes we make a wrong choice, but God never leaves us and never gives up on us. This is Shine 180, stories of lives transformed by God because of your faithfulness. Here is Linette's story.
God was always there. He always kept me going. I got pretty suicidal when I was younger, and I was able to pull through. I ended up finishing up a semester at Kankakee Community College back in '99, and I couldn't take it here anymore. I left. I went down to Florida, moved down there with my mom and other family members, and I got involved in the wrong scene down there as well. I started getting involved in more drugs and more partying and being around the wrong people. Still, I always prayed, always had God there. I wasn't going to church like I normally did when I came here, and I ended up getting involved in a bad relationship when I moved down there. Bad marriage. It was an abusive marriage. My ex-husband beat me up pretty bad, and I went back to him a few times. Finally left, and I was just all over the place, just searching. Shortly after that, I ended up going back to maybe one more time, and that was it. And I needed money, and my sister, I moved in with my sister. I needed money really bad. I couldn't find a job. So I ended up going into an industry that was not healthy. I became an adult entertainer back in 2004, and I did that for a while, knowing it was wrong, but I did do it. It got me through, but again, I was still doing drugs and hanging out with the wrong people. And then I got involved in another marriage that was very unhealthy, very abusive. And shortly before that, before I got married, while I was dancing and living with my sister, I got involved in a dating violence relationship that I ended up having to get a restraining order because it was pretty bad. So I got married shortly after. I left the industry for a while. My marriage was going south back in 2010. I finally was able to reach out for help. I was able to leave my abuser and escape. I got lucky through some crisis centers that helped me pull through. I got my counseling and, got back into God. Unfortunately, upon leaving that relationship, I got back into the adult entertainment industry again. I thought I would like it because I did like it back in the day, I have to admit, but it was different. I started changing. And about 2 years ago, I was going through all my counseling and stuff, and God kept talking to me and trying to pull me out of that industry and pull me out.
Realizing her wrong choices were taking their toll, Linette continued her tug-of-war struggles between hope and despair. All the while, she knew God was not giving up on her.
I knew I needed help. I knew I needed to get out, and there were women from the church that would come into the nightclubs and help out. They never pressured me. They never said, hey, you got to get out of here. Just they brought food, and they just let me know that they were there, that God was here, that Jesus was here, and it helped me pull through. And I finally reached out to them probably last year, needing help to get out of that industry to get a job, and they were able to help me. And this was in Florida. God kept calling me. He said, you got to get out of here, and just different things were happening in my life, and he kept pulling me towards him to get me out of that industry. And I finally got out in January. I left, never going back. I ended up moving back here to Illinois. How I got back here was my very first boyfriend that I dated in high school. He was a little older than me. We were about 4-year relationship. We were talking off and on in that time, but somehow God brought us back together, and I ended up moving back up here. I left everything behind. I still have family family up here, of course. And I ended up getting saved, and I knew I needed to get Jesus right in my heart. It took a while because I was skewed coming here. Like, my faith was still there, but it was still kind of broken because I had a few people try to skew me from getting away from God, and I'm like, and it was still there, but I was going through a spiritual struggle. So finally I just said, I'm just going to keep praying. I'm just going to keep praying. I'm going to just keep praying to God, keep praying to Jesus to, bring him back in my heart. And finally I was able to, he never left me, I left him. I guess that's usually how it goes.
Like Linette's story, the journey to salvation is not always a smooth one. Don't give up. God is not giving up on you.
So now I feel a lot better. I got saved a couple weeks ago, and feels really good that, I washed away everything in my life that I've ever done, and mistakes that I've made in my life, and that's where I'm at. And I wanted to share that. It was definitely a personal struggle over the years, especially experiencing violence and still having God, and then leading me to an industry that was not healthy at all. So God's always there, no matter where you're at in life, even if you're in a really dark place, because I've been in so many dark places in my life where I didn't think I was going to make it from day to day, or if I was going to survive, or, wanting to commit suicide here and there and not succeeding at it. But God was just like, don't do it. You're here. You're here. I guess I've been afraid of letting my story out totally to everybody. So this is the first time letting out to the public, and I want to do it. God called me to do it. I do listen to Shine. I love it. It just makes me feel good, knowing God's there, and no matter what I'm going through, he's going to pull me through, because he always has, and he's answered a lot of my prayers and has got me through where I need to get through, It's been amazing. Yeah, I'm going to church every Sunday now. It encourages me to keep going and continue my walk with God and Jesus, and make sure I'm going in the right path. And, if I'm not having such a good day, I just turn the radio station on. It seems to uplift me, or it touches my soul, and it brings me back to where I need to be, and I love it.
A life redeemed, a new creation, beauty out of ashes. This was Shine 180, Linette's story. I'm Steph Reynolds, Director of Partner Care for Shine.fm. Your story matters. Your story offers hope and encouragement to others. Share your story today by calling 855-987-9866. That's 855-987-9866. Shine 180. Stories of lives transformed by God because of your faithfulness.